Hey, we're going to start here in just a minute and talk about how words help sell artwork. Hang with me for just a second as a couple more people come in. Thank you for your patience. Happy Sunday, or Monday if you're the other part of the world. Hang with me just a couple more seconds here. We're going to get started on how words help sell art. Hope you guys are doing well today. Good morning from California, San Antonio, Philadelphia, Maryland, Michigan, Berkeley, foggy Berkeley. It was foggy here this morning too, Barbara. Okay, we're going to get started here in just a second. Wait for a couple more people to come on. Welcome, Staten Island. Hey, Gene, thank you for saying something about my Sunday talk. That's nice. Hello, friends. Floating by a waterfall as I watched today. Oh, man, where's that waterfall? Ontario, welcome. Taylorsville, Utah, Wyoming, Fresno. I used to live in Fresno, Andy. Let's see. Getting ready for Realism Live. Great. Carlsbad, California. Okay, I think we've got enough folks on board here that we're going to go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to talk about words, using your words, and how they will help you sell art. If this doesn't do something for you, if you're selling your art, nothing will. You have to consider that words make a huge difference in how you use them. Hello, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Hello, Old Fort, North Carolina. So we're going to get to this in just a second, but first I'll just come on screen and say hello, 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 hello. I'm in the Adirondacks. I'm Eric Rhoads, publisher of Fine Art Connoisseur and Plein Air magazines. I'm in my office/studio, more studio than office because I'm trying not to work when I'm here. And we are having a great time today, day number 122 together. I guess I should turn that on. And we've been standing here together for 122 days, talking about art, talking about art marketing, and giving you video samples every day. Today, we've got some really great video for you. We have Scott Tallman Powers, and Scott has got a really terrific video. This is actually the first one. Let me turn this other thing off so you can actually see this. Scott did this video. It was the last video that Lilidol ever produced, and it was the first video that we ever released. So they had produced it, edited it, and then when we took over, we released it. Did really, really beautifully well. And Scott is just such a magically talented painter. And so you're going to see today how he did this. That's at 3 p.m. on Streamline Art Video. And that's on YouTube or on Facebook at Streamline Art Video. So this is Scott Tallman Powers. The video is called City Scene, and there's a copy of the DVD cover. We, of course, offer these things in DVD and digital, so you can have either. So anyway, that's what we got for you today. We have some prizes. Let's see if I can find those prizes. Okay, today we're going to do 2 copies of my book, Make More Money Selling Your Art. This is the foundational principles everybody needs to sell art. Since we've been doing these broadcasts, we keep selling out on Amazon. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it. And I think it's a really good start. You know, everybody's always saying, well, where do I start? Let's start there. It's, you know, rather than investing a bunch of money trying to figure it out. I've spent 40 years learning marketing. And so I give you some basic foundational principles for $27 it's really worth doing, and you can really get a lot out of that. And quite frankly, if you just focus on one thing at a time, that will make a huge difference. Now, I've been doing art marketing talks every day for maybe not all 122 days, because sometimes I talk about other things, but the goal is to help those of you who care about launching a career or enhancing your career, figure out some things. Now, the things that I talk about every day are not necessarily all in the book. Some of them are, some of them are not. I've had to, of course, to come up with enough stuff, I've had to really reach deeply into my bag and really examine my life and understand what I've done and how I can break that into little bitty segments for you. Today, our winners are going to be Suzanne, I'm not sure I can say it, Suzanne Syverston in Texas. She's getting a digital subscription to Plein Air Magazine. And Fine Art Connoisseur digital subscription is going to Maria Elena Elazarte in Maryland. So cool. We were going to be going to Maryland, and we were going to be doing the FACE conference in Maryland in Baltimore on the 20th of October, or maybe the week following, I guess. And then we were going to do a big Halloween party, but that all got canceled, just like everything else this year. And so we came up with Realism Live, which is a concept designed to help you get the essence of the FACE conference, but more. Because the FACE conference, I don't have a FACE conference picture here, but the FACE conference started out as being all about portraits and figure, and especially focused on academic realism. But we would do both tight and loose. Now, Realism Live is going to expand on that. Realism Live is about all forms, painting and drawing all forms of realism. So this is not realism. This would be abstract or abstract expressionism. And we're not dissing that. We're not saying there's anything wrong with that. We're just saying that's not what we're doing at this conference. We've got some incredible people lined up. We've got more and more. We have invitations out. We'll have more to announce, but the incredible Daniel Sprick, just that alone is going to be worth the price of admission, which quite frankly isn't very much. We also have Josh LaRock, also worth the price of admission. And then the amazing Rose Franson. Of course, we released a new video from Rose this week. We also have Graydon Parrish. Graydon is the top of the top. I mean, he's incredible. And he's going to talk to you a lot about some of the various things that he's discovered over the years. So you'll look at some of the work. I mean, this is Joshua LaRock's work. This is Rose Franson's work. Look at this. This is Graydon Parrish's work. I mean, can you imagine that? I don't know how many years of his life it took. This was his 9/11 metaphor, his memorial. And that thing is about, I don't know, probably 20, 25 feet, 30 feet long. It's amazing. He did hundreds and hundreds of preliminary sketches to make that happen. And the interesting story is the model, there were twins, and I may get this wrong, so he'll correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure, but there were twins, and one of the twins was, I think, a firefighter, and he was killed in 9/11. So Graydon went to the other twin and had him model, and he modeled for both of the twins, and that was representative of the twins and their angst and everything. So what a fabulous painting. I mean, this painting, I think, will go down in history. It's just absolutely amazing. I've seen it in person, and I cried. It was that good. It was just so amazing. So you're going to get to see Graydon Parrish. You also get to see Daniel Sprick. Look at this work. Look at the quality of his work. His landscapes and his figure and portrait work is just amazing. I had a chance to go visit Dan's studio this year, and we had dinner in the studio, and we sat around and talked, and I got to see a lot of these things in person, the things that he still had. Most of them have been sold. We also are going to be doing other topics. So for instance, we're going to be doing still life. This is Todd Casey's work. We're going to be doing portrait. We're going to be doing landscape. That's Eric Capel's. We're going to be doing florals. I think that's Katie Whipple's. No, we're inviting these people, but we haven't got confirmation on that. And these are the people that we had at the FACE conference. So we're trying to reinvite many of them to come to the Realism conference as well, to Realism Today. So you can sign up for that at realismtoday.com. Okay, I think I've done my job here. One other thing is the end of the month is coming up very soon, and we have Plein Air Salon, which is a $15,000 grand prize, and about $23,000 or $24,000 in additional prizes. And we've decided we're going to sweeten the pot. We'll know how much that money is this week, but we've decided because it's going a little longer than normal, we're going to sweeten the pot and add to the prize money. So you can enter that at pleinairsalon.com. The monthly, there's 20 categories. You go in monthly, enter your best work. It doesn't have to be new work. It doesn't have to be fresh work. It just has to be your work. And so you can do it at any time, enter before the end of the month. And then the best thing is that a lot of the judges are oftentimes gallery people, and a lot of artists have actually been discovered, invited into galleries because of entering the Plein Air Salon, which is cool. Not the intent, certainly, but it happens that way. The other thing is it's a great way to be judged by the people who are going to be selling artwork. And so you really know that they're judging it carefully. And so it's a good thing to do. Enter at pleinairsalon.com. Now, I want to talk today about words and how important words are in your marketing. Now, it took me a long time to really understand this, and this is going to seem probably a little bit simplistic. And it is simplistic, but it's really a little bit more than that. So I'm going to talk about that, how words help sell art. Words matter. Words matter a lot. You think about this. Words guide us. The world, if you believe this, the world was spoken into being. Let there be light. Words matter. The words we use can cut through. They can hurt people. They can help people. They can inspire people. And the words that you use in your entire art career matter. And you've got to choose your words carefully. Most people don't even think about that. They just write something, and just writing something isn't enough. You've got to write something that's going to have an emotional tug. Words differentiate you. You can find ways to stand out from the crowd by mere use of words. Think about this. This is a menu from Starbucks. Starbucks reinvented coffee. They didn't have a small, they had a tall. And they didn't have a medium, they had a grande. And they didn't have a large, they had a venti. And they were able to get higher prices because they differentiated. And think about words instead of, the words like cappuccino or latte, how they make things seem so much more important. Or you think about, white chocolate mocha, it just makes your mouth water. So think about the words and how they create image. It's important. Words also grab attention. They can get your attention, free or sale or today only, or hey, careful, caution, watch your step. So words are so really, really important. 80% of your success in marketing starts with your headlines. 80%. You see, a headline determines whether or not someone will read something. If they go to your website and the headline doesn't grab them right away, they're going to go away. And you think they're interested in you, and we all like to think that, but they're not. They're interested in them, and what does this mean to me? And what your headline says to them is going to get their attention. It's the same thing in all things. So let's talk about this, because I think this is really a critical piece. Art ads, I sell a lot of art ads in our magazines. Art ads tend to blend together. I just made these two ads up using a couple of my paintings. And though the art differentiates the artist, most art ads are, hey, Jane Doe, and here's my painting. Or, hey, Joe Public, and here's my painting. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, because it's valuable for branding. You can brand yourself, but you can also increase your response, brand yourself, and have a strong headline. How could you do that? Now, here's two ads side by side. What I saw at the bottom of this hill changed my life. Eric Rhoads. Now, there's branding me. It's got the painting in there. And I didn't go through, I normally, if I were doing this, I'd write a little tiny bit of copy to pull them to the website. But the idea here is I've created curiosity. What did he see at the bottom of the hill? I got to find out. I'm going to go to that website and find out. So if you can make your headline stand out, create curiosity, create interest, differentiate yourself in some way. Sometimes I recommend people, they put a quote at the top of their website. Lori Putnam put a quote on her ads that was from John Stern, the art historian. Everybody knows John Stern. So she had, a quote from John Stern as her headline. That way it wasn't just, Lori Putnam. It said something about her, and it actually increased her branding because it was something that he had said, and it gave her more credibility. You want to draw people into a story. Stories have been used for generations from the beginning of time. I mean, you think about the stories in the Bible, the first stories. The stories are easier to pass along. If you talk about facts and figures, everybody always gets it wrong. But we all know the story about the fish and the loaves, right? And we all know the stories, and the stories get passed on from generation to generation, and they don't lose as much of the detail when you tell them in story form. So I like to continue the story on a website. For instance, here's one thing you could do. I just made this up. So there's a thing that I talk about in another section of my book, and it's essentially about the scent. So and we'll talk about that at another time, maybe tomorrow. That'd be a good thing to do tomorrow. But the idea of scent is, if they see your ad and your ad says what I saw at the bottom of this hill, and then they go to your website and they don't see that that headline and they don't find that story, they're going to go away. They're not going to dig for it. So the first thing that you want to follow the scent. If they're sniffing, they want to sniff to find that headline. So the first thing they should see is that headline. What I saw at the bottom of the hill changed my life. The late afternoon light was glowing a soft pink color on the snow, and it was starting to melt. I could hear it crunching under my feet, and I could see it melting. In fact, I slipped and fell as I started going down the hill. I was a little embarrassed and so glad nobody saw me. I was covered with snow and mud. I guess I have that in there twice. I had finished the painting, and I wanted to look for a future painting spot, but I never expected what I saw below. I couldn't believe my eyes. About the time I got to the bottom of the hill, I heard a strange noise. It almost sounded like a baby crying. It got louder as I got closer. I could feel the hair on my arms standing up. I was a little bit scared. I turned around thinking maybe I should go back up the hill, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea of the story here is I'm pulling you in further and further. I am using a story to get you pulled in, and I'm going to tell you how I do that in a minute. But the idea here is that you want your story or your headline to be explained. And you know what? If you explained it differently, if you use facts, I finished my painting. I walked to the end of the hill. I heard some crying, and there was a baby deer down there. Right? It's like, no, it's you pulled them in. And if you read my Sunday coffee every week, and this is something I'm revealing here for you guys, I use a lot of things. Like I use tools, right? So the late afternoon light is glowing a soft pink color on the snow. You can imagine that in your mind. And it was starting to melt. Now you can imagine the melt, and you can imagine hearing the crunching under your feet. You hear the crunching and see it melting. And you can see me slipping, and you can see me covered with snow, and me being embarrassed, right? So use your words. Use strong headlines everywhere you can. Use them in your ads. Use them in your website. Use them in your brochures, in your newsletters. Anywhere you can use your strong headlines. Really focus on headlines. Now, I know lots of copywriters, and copywriters, the really good ones, are really expensive. Copywriters, meaning advertising copywriters, not people who copyright things. And I have a friend by the name of David Deutsch. He wrote something for me one time, and he gave me a deal, and it was a huge amount of money. I know that he writes headlines, and he writes advertising copy for $100,000 for advertising copy. And then he gets sometimes 5% or 10% of the outcome of the growth. So these people get a lot of money. And you know what they spend their time on? First off, they spend a lot of time on their writing, but they spend the majority of their time writing headlines. I have a friend that recently passed away, a guy named Clayton Makepeace, a really great copywriter. And Clayton said, write 200 headlines before you choose which one you're going to use. I mean, that's how important these people think it is. So use strong headlines. Now, the other thing is strong subject lines are really, really critical. So I have seen newsletters that says, here's my newsletter this month. Boring. And you're assuming that people want to know about you. And though maybe some of them do, the reality is that when you've got 50,000 emails in your inbox and you're going through the morning purge, click, 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 delete, it's not going to get their attention. But if the headline said, what I discovered at the end of a painting session that blew me away, it might get their attention, and they might go, oh, I'm going to save that one and then read it. So you want strong subject lines. Subject lines in an email environment are 80%. They're as important as the headline. So you've got to have strong subject lines in your emails, your newsletters, and even on the outside of your envelope, if you're mailing something, you've got to get them to open that envelope. So you got to have a subject line or a headline there, and then pull them into a new headline after you get them. The other thing is speaking your headlines. And this is something most people don't understand. When I went out to Silicon Valley, I raised $7 million for a .com that I started. And the venture people behind me sent me to a coach. And this coach worked on me on my presentations. And she said, look, you've got to have what we call an elevator pitch. And I didn't even know that term at the time. Your elevator pitch is if you were in an elevator and going up 2 floors, could you give the essence of yourself or your business or your company in 1 or 2 sentences? And you've got to get to the point where you have an elevator pitch in your head that describes what you do so that it will get people to sit up and take notice. So you meet somebody at a cocktail party, you want to be willing to say the same thing every time. Somebody walks up to you and startles you and you haven't had a chance to think about it, and later they leave and you go, oh, I wish I'd have said this. An elevator pitch might be, my name is Eric Rhoads. I publish 2 prominent art magazines that go to thousands of art collectors and artists around the world. Okay, that would be an elevator pitch. Now, I might have a line or something that goes beyond it. So you want to have something in your head. And the best thing to do, I just read this in a book, and it just reminded me of this, is you want to have headlines. You want to speak in headlines. You want people to know what it is you want them to know. Let's say that you're Tom Hughes. Tom Hughes could say, I'm an outdoor painter, or I'm a plein air painter. Most people don't know the term plein air. I'm an artist who paints outdoors, and I just won the annual award from the top outdoor art magazine in America. Okay, now that all of a sudden, what's that do? It gives him credibility. You could say, and I'm in 3 of the top galleries in America. So boom, 3 or 4 simple words. You're speaking in headlines. You're speaking your elevator pitch. Now, I went to a whole day seminar on creating elevator pitches with Lee Miltier, and I'm going to have her on here one of these days. She talked, we spent a whole day on elevator pitches and crafting them and adjusting them and readjusting them. That's how important it is. Now, the thing that I talked about earlier is you want to use sensory words. And I went to a 3-day seminar just on this alone. Now, there's so much more to it, but essentially, you want to speak in terms of colors and sounds and smells and how it made you feel. So you might say, I was walking along I was in Fort Lauderdale in my bare feet, walking along in the hot sand. My feet were burning. I had to jump over into the water to keep them from burning. All right, now you've created a sensation. I could feel the salt water tingling in my toes and the salt sticking to the bottom of my feet. I could hear, just like listening in a seashell, I could hear the roar of the ocean and could see the waves breaking over and the light glowing through the waves as they turned and the white caps on the waves. So what you're doing is you're creating sounds. You're using colors. I could see the deep blue indigo water. I could hear the sound of the crashing waves. I felt like I was the only person on earth at that moment. It's totally consumed me. So look for ways to use sensory words in your writing. It will make a huge difference. It takes a lot of practice. If you read Sunday Coffee, I always open with sensory words. And the reason I do that is because I want to transport you out of reality into a different place. I want you to, I want to disrupt your doom scrolling. You're going through and you're reading about all the stuff that happened last night. And this morning, all of a sudden you're transported, you hear words and you're transported into the golden sunlight and the water tickling my toes or whatever. And it transports you and it helps you escape. And then it helps you pay more attention and helps you get into it. That's why I do those kinds of things. So always use story. I took a 3-day seminar on stories. Now, I keep talking about all these things that I take. I take loads of seminars. I buy everything I want to learn. I buy online seminars. I go to in-person seminars, or used to. I try to learn about things that will make me better. And that's something that we all should consider doing. And so I did a 3-day thing just on story. There's a company called Story Brand that is fabulous. It's something I took. And so it tells you the elements of a story and how to start a story and how to put a middle and how to create an antagonist. And there's a lot of parts to a story. Now, this is something I learned from a copywriter by the name of Joe Bensavenga. He's got a great book on Amazon. I recommend it if you want to learn about copywriting. I've never met him. He's an elderly man. I think he's still living. He talks about the slide. And if you imagine writing is like a slide, you got to get somebody to climb up that slide. And then you got to get them to go down the slide and get them to the end where they're going to take action, right? So the first thing to get, if this is an email, to get them to even get onto the slide, you got to give them a subject line that is so compelling they're going to open the email. And then you got to get a headline that is so compelling they want to read the next thing. And then you want an opening paragraph that is so compelling that it leads them to read to the second paragraph, and then the third paragraph, and the fourth paragraph. Then the story continues, and you're constantly creating curiosity and interest in what's this going to be like. And you get them to the top of the slide, and they sit down. All of a sudden, they slide down, and they become a customer. So the hard part is getting them up the slide. So the second part of the slide you've got your headers. I put headers, if you notice on Sunday Coffee, I put headers at the top of paragraphs. The reason I do that is that sometimes people will skim, and a header will draw them in. They'll read the paragraph, then they'll think, oh, I need to read this, and they'll go back and they'll start reading the whole thing. And headers sometimes keep them involved, right? And then, on the slide, they're going down and you're going down fast. And so this is where you give them important details. You conclude the story and you ask for business. I always try to put a guarantee in there if it's something I'm selling or offering, so that people feel like there's no risk. And then I ask for their business again, and, click here to buy or something. There's a lot of science that goes into this, and I can't possibly get into that kind of detail. But the slide will, if you think in terms of a slide and how you got to get people's interest, and then, they're not interested in you, even though you think they are. I like to think people are interested in me, but they're not. They're interested in what you have to offer. And you've got to make sure that it's something of high interest. Now, the bigger your brand, the higher their interest. But when they're busy and they're going through emails and they're not thinking about art, even if you have a Scott Christensen level brand and it says from Scott Christensen, you might open it or you might not. But if it has a strong headline from Scott Christensen, they're more likely to open it. All right. So if you improve your words, you'll improve your business. Anyway, that's all I got today. It's a pretty quick thing about words, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of feel for it. I want to remind you guys that we have a plein air convention coming up in Colorado in May. And before we had to cancel that, we had close to, I think we had 900 and change, 950 signed up. And if we're allowed again, you should come. And it's going to be a great celebration and gathering of plein air. It would have been our 10th annual, but this will be our 9th annual because we didn't get to hold our 9th annual. And that's a lot of fun to come to that. And of course, we won't do it if it's not safe, and you won't come if it's not safe, and we have a guarantee. I heard from a bunch of people yesterday. They said they saw my little ditty on Russia, and a bunch of people said, hey, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to come. That's at paintrussia.com. I don't have the details there, but if you sign up, you will be notified with details before everybody else is, because I have a hunch that there's going to be about 150 people who want to go on this trip. So you're going to have to think about it, make your decision fast once I get that word out. We are still at this point doing Fall Color Work Week, which is my retreat for artists, and that's going to take place in October. It's about 100 people, so we don't know if we're going to be able to do it or not. We'll have to judge and see what's happening by October. We'll do it if we can, and if it's safe. If it's not, we'll postpone it or cancel it for next year. Remind you guys that Plein Air Magazine is the cure for claustrophobia. You can get a digital copy, especially if you live in other places, other countries, so you don't have to deal with mail. But the digital copy has 25% more content. And did you know that Plein Air Magazine is the #1 selling art magazine in America in the art and photography category? So it outsells photography and art magazines, all of them, in Barnes & Noble nationally. So we're pretty proud of that. And you guys can help us keep that going by you get a subscription, although that won't help the newsstand. All right. What else? Fine Art Connoisseur. This is not a very good image. I apologize, but that painting by Nikolai Plokhin is going to be released here soon. That's like a 4 or 5 day video shoot we're going to be releasing. So reminder today to leave comments for your ability to win prizes. We're giving away today. What did I say? I've got to find it. 2 copies of my book, Make More Money Selling Your Art. And reminder today at 3 p.m. we have Scott Tallman Powers, and that's going to be good. That's a video you're going to want to see. And the winners of our digital subscription we announced earlier. So I think that's all I got for you guys today. I'll come over to the comments real quickly and say hello. And thank you for tuning in on a Sunday. Where is the info on the October trip? fallcolorweek.com. fallcolorweek.com. We don't do workshops. It's just painting. We just paint in beautiful places. Eric Capel is going to be with us, and he is going to take us around to all his favorite spots. He lives there. And we're going to be in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, where the Hudson River School painters, they painted the White Mountains, the Catskills, the Adirondacks. So they painted in a lot of areas, and that's one of the places we're going to do. Hi from Katya Kite in Lincoln City, Oregon. Katya, I almost bought a house in Lincoln City one time, a long, long time ago, like 30,000 years ago. Thank you, guys. Oh, my goodness. Hello, Leah from South Africa. All right, South Africa. Thank you. We're honored you're here. We're honored everybody's here, but we love it when we see people from outside of the world, outside of the country. And we hope that you'll tell your friends about these free video samples every day at 3. I don't know what time it is there in your area. So thank you guys for tuning in today. And if you like this, share it with your friends and tell them something. Say, hey, I just watched Words That Sell and from Eric, and you might want to watch this. It was valuable. If you think it was. If you think it was garbage, tell them that. That's fine too. And of course, if you're not following me on Facebook, I'm at my limit on Facebook, but you can follow me. I just can't follow you back. And you can follow Eric Rhoads Publisher. You can follow me on Instagram, which I would appreciate. I'm trying to get that number up on Instagram. And if you're not there, please do it. And follow on YouTube as well, because YouTube, then you get these broadcasts daily, including the 3 p.m. broadcasts. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Happy Sunday. Today's the day off for me. It's never a day off. I come in here for you guys every day. 122 days in a row now. We'll keep that going as long as I can continue to do it. And in the meantime, I'm going to go out on the dock and go in a kayak and do some water sports today. It's going to be a fun day. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Have a terrific day.